Hey y'all, it's your girl Mariah Sincere, and I'm back with another video. And I'm going to be talking about karmic cycles that we create in relationships. Okay. I am going to be coming from this from a different perspective because I realize a lot of the times when we are listening to these dating coaches and even some of my videos that I have made, there is a spiritual component that is lacking. And the reality of it is people can give you all the dating advice in the world. A lot of it is just a band-aid. If you do not tend to the spiritual side of it all, you're either gonna you're just kicking the can down the road. Okay, you might avoid a problem today but be creating a bigger issue for you to deal with long term. Okay, and that's just the fact of the matter. I am going to be speaking about this from a Buddhist perspective. So please be respectful in the comments. I accept all religions. I choose not to be in conflict. I'm not going to argue with people about what they believe, but this is what I practice. So this is what I know to come talk to you about. So I'm going to start off by telling you guys a story and just, bear with me. Okay. So I was at a bar and I was sitting next to this guy and he started a conversation with me. So I'm friendly, we talk, and the man ended up telling me his life story, basically. So he was married for about 20 years. He had a wife, he had kids, and he was what most men on the internet would consider a high value man. He was very hardworking. He had a lot of money. He had multiple businesses. Okay. He would cheat on his wife a lot with younger women. Okay. And what happened is his wife ended up leaving him and just letting him go. She don't give him no problems. He still pays all the bills in the house, but she chose to step away from that situation and allow him to go be with his main mistress. Okay. So he's with this young girl, and because there is an age gap and she lacks understanding because she don't even have her own children, she causes him all type of drama because he still chooses to fulfill his obligations to his wife and kids that he did take vows to. You know what I'm saying? He pays all the bills where his wife lives, okay, on top of making sure his kids are financially stable. The girlfriend lacks understanding because she's in her early 20s. She never had children before, okay? So that joining is not in alignment, okay? So she gets upset. She'll start arguments, hit him, and then call the police, and he's in jail. So he was saying as to where he was with his wife, he never went to jail before. He'd been to jail 3 times dealing with the younger girl, okay? Fighting court cases, spending thousands of dollars on lawyers, and he still chooses to go back to that situation. And on top of that, he also messes with several other women on the side. So I asked him, you seem like you had more peace with your wife. Why do you continue to go back to this young girl who, when y'all clearly can't come to an understanding? He said it's because the sex, okay? He just loves the sex with her so much. He loved having sex with younger women. He cannot let it go, okay? Now, I'm supposed to look at this man and feel like he is just trash and feel bad for the wife, okay? But in that moment, I had so much compassion for him because he is a slave to his own vices, okay? He is a slave to his lack of discipline. He clearly was not happy. The man told me he goes out every night drinking, looking for more women. It's not enough, okay? But his life is in turmoil because he chooses not to live above his vices, okay? Now, most men would tell you he's living a dream, okay? He got money, he can pay for the women he wants, he can mess with younger women. But if that was the case, and if it was really in his nature, okay? Because y'all talk about this in people nature, men's nature, to sleep around with all these women, then why are you not at peace, okay? I believe that if something is genuinely and truly in your nature and what you are supposed to be doing, you will be at peace with it, okay? You will be happy doing it, okay? It is not going to cause you to self-destruct. And you could see physically that this man was in deterioration, okay? The man was obese, overweight. He looked unhealthy, okay? And he just seemed unhappy. A lot of the content that you hear on the internet, people are leading you astray, okay? Instead of telling you that you need to tend to your own vices, they are telling you to continue to feed those vices, accept that that's the way that you are and will always be, and be upset with other people for not dealing with it, okay? And try to manipulate and control people into dealing with it. That's just kicking the can down the road. Because if you don't deal with yourself, you're going to forever be living hell on earth. Okay? And then I'm going to talk about this in terms of what I see from a lot of women. Okay? Because y'all ain't off the hook here. Okay? So I was watching a lot of Cynthia G content at one point. Because my boy AP kind of introduced me to her. Because he did a segment where he talked about her saying something about black men are disposable. And I didn't agree with that. So I went to watch her content because I wanted to have an informed opinion. And honestly and truly, if you take away a lot of the negative language and the anger that's clearly there, if you just talk about what she observes within our community, it's not that what she's saying is not true. It's very hard to argue with her. However, okay, just because something is true doesn't mean that you can't talk about it in a way that fuels anger and negativity. You get what I'm trying to say? So there would be a lot of women in the comments name calling these men, getting upset, saying that they divested and they date other races of men. But you're still worried every single day about black men and what they do, okay? And I had to understand, to get to the root of this, these women come on there and get upset out of fear, right? Because if our situation is so dire, then that means the man I wanted to love me, or the type of man I wanted to love me, will never love me. They'll never do right by me. Or perhaps I will never find a man, period, to do right by me, because I feel like it's just so scarce, the amount of good men, okay? Or you get into this, why me? Why us? Why are we particularly burdened to deal with this type of mentality, okay? It all comes from a fear of being alone, okay? And what happened is, instead of the women being able to accept that, yes, it is a large amount of men in our community who is not doing what they need to be doing in order for us to create better families and more healthy environments, but still saying, okay, I don't have to participate in this, but I also don't have to hate these men, okay? You begin to fuel seeds of anger. And what happens is you begin to project that in your own life, okay? You're putting an energy out there, right? And you begin to stifle yourself spiritually, which creates a karmic cycle. Because honestly and truly, if you're walking around with hate, malice, and vitriol in your heart, even if you feel like it's justified, you leave no room for compassion, okay? You leave no room for forgiveness. And a lot of people will turn away from those spiritual aspects because y'all feel like it's gonna cause you to accept things that are detrimental to you. And that's not what that means, okay? You can release control of others and what they do, and you can have compassion for them in their suffering and still choose not to participate, okay? It does not go hand in hand. But because a lot of women, and this is including myself, have used religion and spirituality to justify staying in a harmful situation, you begin to think that that's something that just automatically comes along with being a compassionate and forgiving person. And it doesn't, okay? Choosing to stay where you are mistreated and where you don't have peace, that is a choice. It has nothing to do with forgiveness and compassion, okay? That's about you not tending to the lie that you need somebody outside of yourself to feel love, okay? We all have the capacity to love, okay? And I'm gonna make a point. A lot of the times you want love from another person, so you give love. How would you be able to give or show love if it was not something that was already with you, okay? And because you choose not to recognize that, you feel like you need another individual, you become angry when they're not giving it to you. And I know because I've been there before, right? And the more that you fuel those seeds of anger, you create a karmic cycle, okay, of not being able to tap into your own love. And when you can't tap into your own love, it is very off-putting energy to other people. That is just as much of a vice, and that is just as much as a destructive cycle to you, to the women, as it is to the men who cannot control their sexual deviance. You understand what I'm saying? Both cause suffering. A lot of y'all will hear that story I told about the man, and you be like, why do you have compassion for the man? Why don't you have compassion for the wife? I don't need to have compassion for the wife, because the wife released herself from suffering. You understand what I'm trying to say? And I know she's not suffering, and I know she's at peace because of how she chooses to deal with her ex-husband, okay? Because she don't cause any problem. She decided to release control, wash her hands of this man, okay? And go on about her business, okay? And a lot of people don't have the maturity and the spiritual awareness to do that. What most women will do in that situation is feel like because this man could not control his sexual vices, you will take that on as something wrong with you. Okay, you will take that on as you not being good enough. Okay, or a lot of times, you know, and this can be men or women, you're in relationships with people who are mentally abusive. Okay, and what's going on is you're feeding into your own negative beliefs of yourself, and you're getting with somebody that reinforces that, instead of saying this person doesn't have the authority. Okay, people don't have the authority to judge you. Okay, people don't have the authority to tell you who you are. Okay, and a lot of the times how we treat other people is a manifestation of how we treat ourselves. So a lot of the times, if you're constantly angry at other people, if you're in constant judgment of other people, if you're hard on other people, you treat yourself that way. Okay, and there's a lot of inner turmoil going on. If you don't tend to that, you can lose your mind. Okay, and I'm saying this because I've seen that before. The only thing that you have control over in this life is your mind and the discipline of your mind. But you can lose the ability to control that if you go far too long without tending to the negative seeds that you plant. Okay, you know what I'm trying to say? I saw this in my own life. Okay, so I went through a really bad breakup a few years back now, almost. I went through a really bad breakup, and it brought me to my lowest point. Okay, I felt like I needed somebody, and felt like that was a reflection of my value as a person. So my only way out was to go into deep Buddhist practices. You know what I'm trying to say? That's how I was able to get through that, and it took a long time. And it allowed me to forgive this person, to have compassion, right? But then what happened is I allowed myself to get distracted. So then, you know, recently in my life, a series of unfortunate events began to occur, and I was not dealing with them the right way, because I had neglected my spiritual self. And the more I neglected my spiritual self, the more I began to water seeds that I did not need to water. Okay? And then I told myself, well, if I'm too spiritual, I'll be a weak person. And I didn't understand that by reinforcing that belief and living in that way, I was weakening myself. Okay? I was not preparing myself for the obstacles that I was gonna face. Okay? So I had to go back to the drawing board and say, how did I get through these situations before? Okay? And you always have to have some type of spiritual cornerstone. I don't care what it is, because the truth be told, you will find similarities, universal law, in all religions across the board. Okay? What I'm talking about, these karmic cycles that you contribute to in your own life, that is also in the Bible. You know, you gonna reap what you sow. Okay? How a man thinketh, so he will speak. You know what I'm saying? It's so many. And if you don't tend to your spiritual practices and create discipline, you will suffer. Okay? And a lot of times we don't want to be responsible for our own suffering because it's easier to blame somebody else. Okay? That does absolutely nothing for you. You know, we're always talking about leave people alone who don't serve you. And a lot of times you never consider how you're not doing things that serve yourself. Okay? That's just room for thought, y'all. And I hope I didn't get too deep into it with y'all. But I mean, it is a deep, you really do have to dig deep in order to resolve these issues. And understand that, no, most people are not going to choose to deal with, people are a lot of times only want to deal with things at a superficial level. And as time goes on and we have more distractions in the world than what we had hundreds and thousands of years ago, you're going to find it very difficult to find people who are equally yoked with you and people who do tend to their spirituality at the level that you do. I'm not denying that, but that's okay. The Buddha said it's better to walk alone than to walk with a fool. Okay? And that's true. A lot of the times, if y'all learn to be single, then you'll find yourself more at peace. And that's the problem with a lot of people too. I want to do a separate video about this, but I'm just gonna kind of summarize. Like, a lot of y'all ain't never really been single. Okay, it's some of y'all saying I've been single for 6 years, or I've never had a boyfriend, or I never had a girlfriend, but the whole time you've at least had people that you're talking to and that you're sleeping with, sometimes multiple people. Okay, because of that, you never really reap the true benefits of being single. Okay, you never grow emotionally or spiritually because you stay codependent on another person, and you rely on that codependency and that manipulation on another person to be at peace with yourself. Okay, that is not being single. I don't care what nobody says. A lot of y'all would be like, I don't need a woman or I don't need a man, but you very much do. Okay, because if you take away your ability to sleep with them or talk to them about your problems or just have somebody to come over and chill with you, a lot of y'all will lose y'all's minds. You cannot do it. That's why a lot of times when y'all break up with people, y'all automatically jumping in bed with another person. The best way to get over somebody is to get up under somebody else. We all know the saying, okay? When you live your life like that, you are creating negative karmic cycles. The bill is gonna come due, okay? The bill is gonna come due because it's not gonna always be somebody there to be a crutch. And that is why a lot of times people end up angry and lonely and bitter, or because you can't take the time to use your discernment and build up your spiritual self. You continue to be with people who do nothing but cause destruction in your life. Okay? That's negative karmic cycles. And you have to address why you choose to continue to participate in those cycles rather than break them. And once you can do that, you will find true peace in your mind, okay? For real. But it's something that you have to continue to practice. It's not something that you come to and you arrive and you're going to stay there. You have to be able to practice this whether you're in a relationship or you're not in a relationship. You have to practice this with people that you deal with that is not sexually, okay? Family members, co-workers, okay? This has to apply to every aspect of your life. You can't practice differentiation. You get what I'm trying to say? So that's all for now. I hope y'all have a good day.